Silent Hill is finally coming back with a new original title, and since Silent Hill 2 is my favorite game ever, and I played the original games so many times, I'm pretty excited. On the 25th of September, just 2 weeks from the day I'm recording this, we will finally be able to put our hands on the highly anticipated Silent Hill F. And while the general sentiment is that the game looks promising, there are some concerns in the community. Mostly about the combat system, but also about a possible disconnection from the classic Silent Hills, with worry that this new title will fail to replicate the elements that made the original games so great. Now, as we already know, the Silent Hill community isn't an easy one to please, and we'll always find something to be skeptical about. We saw this last year, during the launch of Silent Hill 2 Remake, with a lot of complaints prior to its release. That game ultimately turned out amazing, but I think that this time it's different, and the community is right to be concerned about Silent Hill F. Before I get into it, the game hasn't come out yet, and could be subject to change after all the criticism it's receiving online. So anything I say could be outdated by the time of the release, but I doubt it, since it's so imminent. Let's start by talking about what the critics have to say of the game. All of the reviews I have seen praise F pretty much unanimously, and for good reason. The main positives listed are the ambientation, the sound design, and the traditional Japanese setting, just to name a few. It seems like the developers did a good job in creating an interesting horror environment for the game. Everyone, including most of the community, seems to agree on this, but that really hasn't been the talking point. All the longtime fans of the series noticed something that looked pretty strange, considering we are talking about a Silent Hill game: the combat system. The community is split about this. Some people like this new system, others not so much. Me personally, I don't think it looks good. I'll put some clips of the combat for people who might have not seen it yet, while I'll show you some comments from the community. There are the positive ones like this: I like horror games where you could actually defend yourself instead of spending the whole time trying to hide. This is convincing me to actually buy it. Then there are the negative comments, which seem to be the majority. Some people mention the technical aspects, like here. For the people defending the combat, you can see the enemies not reacting to some strikes, right? Others complain about the implications of a more action-oriented game. I don't think this eases the concerns of longtime fans about the combat. Souls-like or not, in this interview they refer to Silent Hill as action horror, which is a different direction, antithetical to Silent Hill's survival horror roots. I love Souls-like combat as much as the next person, but I also like my survival horror. Or, removing Silent Hill from the title will do this game a huge favor. Then there are those who stand kind of in the middle, trying to rationalize. This game could be seen as Souls-like, but only when you compare it to the rest of the Silent Hill franchise, not actual Souls-like games. It's way too nerfed and cozy to be compared to a true blue Souls game. That being said, it's easily the most combat-oriented game in the series so far, so it's easy to jump to that conclusion. Then there's this comment, which is my favorite. The people concerned about Silent Hill F's combat are bandwagoners who have no experience with the older games. Newer fans who watch people play and do video essays about Silent Hill 2, meaning they are most likely completely unaware that you can block attacks in the original Silent Hill 2 and there is a block and parry system in Silent Hill 3. There is also the strafe feature, which also works incredibly well as a dodge in Silent Hill 3 when fighting nurses. No one uses these features though, so they see evolved methods of the same concept as Souls-like. As you can see, there are many complaints, the main one being that the enemies seem to not react properly or at all to the strikes of the protagonist, resulting in a clunky combat that seems rather unfit for a game released in 2025. But I don't think that's very interesting. After all, we're talking about a Silent Hill game here. I don't care how mechanically good the combat feels, even though this one does look a bit worrying. To me, just the fact that there is so much talk about the combat system is bad in itself, because Silent Hill always was kind of awkward in that regard, and I feel like for most of the fans, combat never was important for them. Let's see what the developers had to say about this in some interviews on IGN. While he didn't specifically mention the Souls-like genre, series producer says that Silent Hill F's combat was inspired by the current popularity of more difficult action games. Multiple difficulty settings, that's fine, and that Silent Hill F is by no means a Souls-like, but its boss design shares a similar learning curve that ultimately results in a great feeling of satisfaction when you finally beat it. Silent Hill is a story-driven experience above anything else, but it just happens to have a really solid combat mechanics and systems at the same time. That's a bit in contrast with the comments we've been seeing. If we look at the boss fight here, I actually think it looks more like a Souls than a Silent Hill. Tell me if I'm wrong, but just look at the timing of the attacks of the monster, which you clearly can't deduce and have to get over by trial and error. And one thing I can't stand are the fucking dodges Hinako makes. It looks like something Wesker will do. Personally, I don't get why they did this. I think it ruins the atmosphere of the original Silent Hill titles a little bit. Now, hypothetically, the combat system itself could be perfect. No flaws, perfect animations and so on, which it still isn't by the looks of it and the reviews. But if it doesn't suit the style of the game, it will just end up feeling inappropriate, no matter how good it feels. I would like to know your opinion on this, and I'm always open to change my mind if I get proven wrong. Let's continue reading this article. What sets Silent Hill F's combat apart from Silent Hill 2's more limited melee combat is the implementation of timed dodges and counterattacks. The latter in particular deals lots of damage and is key in battle. Enemies briefly show a sign when a counterattack can be utilized, but unless you have trained your reflex skills by playing games like Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, you will likely have a hard time reacting. That's where the focus mode comes in, which can be triggered by holding L2. When in focus mode, enemy signs for counterattacks appear for longer, while also charging up a power attack that staggers the enemy. I couldn't stop laughing when I was reading this for the first time. Now let's go back to the comment from before, because I think it's relevant here. What he says I think is right, but misleading. These features have been a part of the series in the past, but they have been implemented in a different way, and they served a different purpose. By the looks of it, they are going to be necessary in the new game, while you could easily finish older titles without even knowing these existed. So yes, while it's true these features were present, they also played a different role. It's like saying Counter-Strike and Call of Duty have the same movement just because you jump and strafe in both games. It's true, but it's not really. I'll quickly go over some other features that will be available in New Silent Hill, such as a clever system that allows you to turn your resources to increase your stats or obtain amulets that can be equipped to gain certain buffs. Tell me if this doesn't sound like Dark Souls and the fireplaces. We also have a new weapon durability system, I think kind of like the golf clubs in Silent Hill 4, with the addition of weapon repair kits. I think the weapon durability one is fine, but the other one just sounds odd. Konami wants to make a game for a wider audience, and they think that changing the formula is the way to achieve that. Neobards is a company that's tremendously good at making action games. This is also one of the reasons why we decided to choose them as the developers. Silent Hill series isn't considered a game that has entertaining action per se, but as we're opening our doors to new players, we began to wonder what it would be like if we added more of those elements into the game. Challenging action games are gaining popularity among younger players nowadays, so I believe that if we implemented such elements into the game, it would resonate well even with people who are new to the series. We didn't want to end up recreating Silent Hill 2 over and over again, and we were aware that there was no reason to keep making clones of it. So, in order to avoid repeating what previous major titles did, we decided to make the action stand out more. Silent Hill F is not a sequel to any of the existing Silent Hill games. Instead, it will offer a standalone story, independent from the series, that came from publisher Konami itself. It will be a completely new title that people who have never played Silent Hill can enjoy. This would be completely fine by itself, but personally, I don't think that mixing different genres that are already so different, like a survival horror and an action game, is a good idea. But to know for sure, we have to wait and see what kind of commercial success this gets. Silent Hill is changing, and us longtime fans might be a little bit disappointed looking at the direction it's going. Nevertheless, we are getting a new game, and that's much better than getting no game, so I don't think we are entitled to complain. Silent Hill as we know it probably couldn't have launched in today's market, and we have to acknowledge that. And who knows, maybe in the future, Konami will go back to its roots and deliver a true new Silent Hill. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this. Also, I would like to hear your opinion on the subject in the comments. See you next time.